we are talking about the enemy that is within. There has been an enemy in the midst of the camp. Somehow he has gotten in. And while he's in, he's causing confusion, chaos, destruction, separation. He is stagnating and stunning the growth of God's people in kingdom purpose. Somebody has been able to infiltrate the body of Christ. We need to be able to identify with the accursed thing that is among us, so that we can continue on in kingdom business. Now, Brother James, because the accursed thing is among us, God said, I will not dwell among you.
Come on.
Don't you know that God is not going to fool with you as long as you are in your mess? Hello, somebody. If God removes himself, we cannot effectively operate as a body of Christ. Our testimony will become null and void. We cannot stand against the enemy as long as we are moving and operating in the accursed thing that is among us. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you have to remove the accursed thing that is among you. Now you may ask the question, well, Pastor, who is the enemy that is among us? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. The enemy is anyone who is not lining up with the program of God.
Come on, say that.
That is anyone who is bucking against spiritual authority.
Come on.
That has been put in place by God. That also means your pastor. I come to tell you that God has established order in his church. Just like you have order in your house. Well, at least I hope you got order in your house. And since we're talking about order, this is how God had laid out the order of the church. First, it is God.
Yes, sir.
Then it's the pastor. Then you have your elders, your ministers, your missionaries, your evangelists, the deacons, the deaconess, so forth and so on. I hope you get my drift this morning. The office of a pastor is the spiritual head over the church that God has put in place. You will find that in Ephesians, the 4th chapter, verse 11 and 12. Now, it would be within your best interest to obey your pastor.
Yes, sir.
Not because you like him. It's because he is the one that God has actually put in place. God has entrusted your pastor to watch over your soul. That's why God said, I will give you pastors after his own heart. Hello, somebody. Now you need to understand that the very one that God calls is the very one he will qualify.
Come on, say that.
You don't have to qualify the pastor. God will qualify the pastor. Hello, somebody. I thought I needed to stress that this morning. When we buck against spiritual leadership, in all actuality, we are bucking against God.
Say that.
And when you are bucking against God, you are not hurting God, you're actually hurting yourself.
Come on.
I don't care what you think, how you feel, and what your motives are. There is no way in the world you can hurt God. When you're going against God, you are hurting yourself. Why? Because I come to let you know that God is the one that rules. And where there is no rules, God actually overrules.
Come on.
Hello, somebody. I know I'm talking to somebody here this morning. Now watch this. If you decide to jump out of a 10-story window, trying to defy gravity, I come to let you know that you're not going to do anything but break your neck.
Come on.
Likewise, if you try to defy the laws of God,
Yes, sir.
you are not defying the laws of God. You are actually causing damnation upon yourself.
Come on.
Furthermore, when you move against the will of God,
Yes, sir.
you are taking a chance of bringing ultimate destruction upon your entire family
Come on.
and your church.
Come on, Pastor.
That is what Achan did. As a matter of fact, Doc, Achan used to be referred to as Achar, which means the troubles of Israel. It was in verse 1 that Achan transgressed against the accursed thing. You need to tell somebody that there is an enemy in the midst of the camp.
Come on.
Are you a friend or a foe? That actually is an important question that I feel we need to ask this morning. Why? Because the Bible tells us that a house that is divided
Cannot stand. Come on.
cannot stand.
Yeah.
Oh, making it plain.
You will find that in Mark, the 3rd chapter, verse 25. And as long as the enemy resides in the midst of the camp,
Yes.
God cannot and will not dwell among us.
Yeah.
Come on.
Nor will he allow us to defeat the Alis in our lives. Now you may ask the question, well, Pastor, who is Ali? Well, I come to tell you that Ali is anything that you have not been able to overcome in your life as of today.
Come on.
That could be depression.
Come on.
That could be the lack of joy, financial burden, confusion, separation, loneliness. Hello, somebody.
Come on.
Whatever that situation may be,
Yeah.
and you have not been able to overcome it, it's because you need to learn how to remove the accursed thing that is among you.
Come on. Come on.
Now, you may ask the question, well, why must this enemy be found? Why is it so important for us to find the enemy that is in the midst of our camp? Well, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why it is important for us to find the enemy that is in the midst of our camp.
All right.
Number one, an enemy in the midst of the camp will cause you to become overconfident in your judgment. That's why we always end up being defeated. Because we become overconfident in our judgment. And by us being overconfident, we feel as if we don't need God anymore.
Come on.
So then we find ourselves moving and operating outside of the will of God.
Come on.
And then before we know it, we are facing chaos and defeat. Yes, the actions of one person can be the cause of an entire family and nation to fall outside of the will of God.
Come on.
Now you need to understand that this is the very thing that Achan did. And because of this, God withdrew himself. Now check this out. Because Israel lost their focus on their primary objective, they were not able to defeat Ali. Ali was a small place. And he didn't have a whole lot of people. But yet, no matter how small it was, they were not able to defeat Ali because they were outside of the will of God. Why? Because of the actions of one person. Just like the church today. For some strange reason, we have lost our focus on our primary objective, on what God has called us to do and what we are supposed to be.
Yeah.